The last time our cruise ship stopped in Roatan, Honduras, we went to the Mayan Eden Eco Park. There are several eco parks like this in Honduras, and we've done a couple of them. So let me talk about pros and cons of this one. We signed up for this through the cruise line. You don't have to do it that way, but that's pretty easy, and it guarantees that if you run late or they run into any issues, they will hold the ship until you get back or help you get on to the next port. So it's kind of a little built-in insurance there. We started our excursion by meeting in the main theater on the cruise ship, where they organized us into different groups based on our excursion. Then we all left together in a group and got off the ship and walked around to where we would board a bus that would take us to the actual eco park. It wasn't a real long bus ride, and we got to see a little bit of the island, and so that's always nice. They dropped us off at a spot that basically felt like just the side of the road, and then we walked down this trail to the rest of the park. Along the way, we were able to take pictures and see lots of sights, including the cruise ship. It was a nice way to see the forest and see the trees. This is a fairly strenuous walk. They don't really limit this one by age, and I'll get to why that could be an issue later. There were a lot of hills and some steep steps, and it was a little rainy on the day we went, and so it was a little slick. It looks like they're installing more handrails for use along the path, but at the time we were there weren't a whole lot of them, and so it was a little precarious. Not real bad for able-bodied people, but you should be aware in case you have issues going down steps unassisted or with kind of slick areas. It's something to watch out for. There is a butterfly and hummingbird enclosure that they have at the park, and so you're able to see a lot of butterflies. It's not real huge, but you will get to see a few butterflies. It was nice. We walked the trails some more. We did hear a little bit more about the cultures, and they had some of these monuments. I don't know if you'd call them sculptures or statues, but it was nice to hear a little bit about it from the locals. It was interesting. There's this wooden bridge that you can cross. It's not as precarious as it looks, but, you want to be careful when you're walking across it. There is a way to continue on the tour without going across this bridge, but if you want to go across it, it's not really unsafe. They do try to make sure that there aren't too many people on there, just so you don't run into some sort of Indiana Jones issues, but it'll probably be fine. Don't worry about it too much. There are 2 suspension bridges that you can cross on this walk. The first one's kind of short, and that's kind of a good trial to see if you're comfortable walking across bridges like that. Then there'll be a long one that comes up later, and you can decide then, do you want to go on that or not? It doesn't feel real unsafe when you're walking across it, and there are things to hold on to, and so I wouldn't worry about it unless you're just really, really scared of bridges. It's fun, and you feel kind of accomplished after you do it. This eco park does have a couple of sloths, and so you will be able to see those up close. We weren't allowed to touch them or hold them, so if that's important to you, you may want to pick a different excursion, but it was pretty neat to see a sloth up close. I've never really seen one like this before. They're actually kind of quick. They move around a little bit quicker than you would think, so they can get away from you if you're not careful. So grab pictures while you can. They also have monkeys and birds. The birds are all in cages that they have, but the monkeys seem to just have enclosures they can go into to get food, and then they can come out and they will take pictures with you because they're basically domesticated pets at this point. They come around for these tours, and they get little snacks and treats and sit on your shoulder, sit on your head, and take pictures. It's pretty fun. They did have umbrellas for us when it was raining, but you could also bring your own if you want something that you can control and not have to worry about as much. It never hurts to bring an umbrella when you're walking off the ship in these tropical areas like Honduras. It's always fun taking pictures with the monkeys. And they probably think the same thing taking pictures with me. This guy seemed very comfortable getting his picture with me. But this is not the first monkey that I've ever taken a picture with. I'll tell you more about that at the end. I think this monkey has more followers on YouTube than I do. Due to the rain, the birds weren't real interactive, and they didn't really come down for treats, and so you couldn't see them really well because they just basically wanted to stay as dry as possible and just stay up in the upper enclosures. But it was still pretty neat. That's one risk you're always going to run into with excursions like this, is the weather can impact them pretty significantly. So just keep that in mind. You'll get some good views, maybe some good pictures, but it can really vary a lot. And unfortunately, you can't just cancel the excursion if you see it's going to rain that day without it being kind of a challenge. Depending on your cruise line, depending on the situation, you might be able to. But a lot of times you just want to go on the excursion, deal with the rain. The rain will sometimes pass pretty quickly. So I wouldn't avoid an excursion like this just due to the rain, but be prepared to get a little dirty. Your feet will probably get muddy, so consider that when you're thinking about what shoes you're going to wear and what kind of pants you're going to wear, because they can get a little muddy because you are walking on these, mud paths. The only real issue we had is that a couple of people in our group had some mobility issues in that they couldn't go up and down these kind of precarious steps real quickly. They were admittedly a little older, but they slowed down our group quite a bit, and we wonder if we would have had more time with the animals if we hadn't had to go so slowly on the path. So if you go on one of these excursions and you notice there's somebody who's going to have some issues, you might suggest that they go on ahead, or maybe they don't even walk down the trail. They did offer to take people from that kind of side of the road entrance down to the main part of the park, and that would have actually helped our entire group move along quicker. The cruise line didn't put any sort of restrictions on age or mobility on the trip, and the excursion operator didn't want to exclude anybody, and so they kind of let you self-select out, and in this case, I think it caused some issues. The return to the port was easy, and we were able to do some shopping and looking around there at the port area. They are doing a lot of work here in Roatan, and you'll see these shops have probably improved a lot even since this video was taken. They're really trying to build it out, make it a lot nicer for tourists, being able to handle more ships, more people, and really support the local economy through this port area. I'm looking forward to going back the next time and seeing more. I've been on another eco park excursion in Honduras, and that one I even got bit by a monkey there. That doesn't mean that it was a bad excursion. In fact, it was very different than the one that you just saw. So if you want to see what another eco park excursion in Honduras might look like, check that out. And if you've been on this tour or something else in Honduras, be sure to share your secrets in the comments below. Secret you later.